Yo, this is it. I'm Mr. Fade, and you're listening to Attack of the Beats on IllMuzik.com. Here we are once again, another 5 beats, another 5 reviews, and, today's a really, really rainy day. It's cold, it's raining, so, as you can hear in the background, the rain, the thunder. Actually, there's no thunder right now, but it's just raining. It's bad. So, I figured today's a good day to record Attack of the Beats, and so I'm doing that. But before I get into it, just a reminder that don't forget, this week is the Warzone beat battle. So if you're planning on entering, make sure you get your beats ready. 4 rounds, 4 beats, and that should be popping off later this week. So check the forums, you see the dates, and see what's going on. All right, so let's get into it right away. First up, we've got Andy with Savage. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Andy with Savage. All right, so for this one, I love the intro. It's a nice intro. I mean, it's the whole thing. It's the whole music, but it's the intro is really nice, although it is a little long. It's almost like half the beat or whatever. So I wish I had drop the beat in a little sooner than that. Drop the drums in a little sooner than that. But I really liked it. I liked the music and everything. And then you have the bass that comes in, and the thing with the bass is that it's funny because it sounds like it's in control, like you've compressed it or something like that, because it's sometimes I hear bass where it's just just loud and just out of control basically. So in your case, it's a little loud though, I find. Just slightly. That's my preference, whatever, but just slightly. But at least you do have it under control, so it does fit very well in the mix. But I would bring it down just a bit in the mix. But other than that, though, I like the beat. It's dope. You did a really good job on the drums. It's a lazy drum track, and it's funny because this type of beat where I'd actually like to hear some fast drums over this music. I think that would work too. So in your case, it's slow. I don't know what tempo this is, but it's good. It's good stuff. But like I said, it's just the bass. I think it's just a little bit too loud in the mix and stuff. Although I did like what you did at the end of the bass, where it just like you have that little tail off at the end. That's some nice shit right there. But so maybe just check that a bit. But other than that, it's a nice beat. I like it. And the music's on point. It's this eerie stuff, so I don't know because the title is Savage. Maybe this is a type of music for, I don't know, some weird jungle stuff or something, like some weird cannibal movie. Who knows? But actually, it could work for that. But I'd love to hear a rapper on top of this too. That'd be nice. This would be really good with some vocals on it. And yeah, it's a dope beat. All right, so next up we got who we got here? Cedric Winters. Is that what the name is? With Duke Street. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Cedric Winters with Duke Street. And, this one's interesting because at the beginning you have, first of all, you got the drums nice and dry at the beginning, which is good. Although you should check that snare because I could hear a little click at the end of the snare. And so maybe it just needs to be, just tightened up a bit or whatever. But, so just check that. But then the music, it's good because it sounds like... you just like something like I would use to start a track, basically. You got this like these keys playing, right? And it's just, just keeps going do like that. And then, I'm thinking to myself, okay, you got to add something. So you bring in these other sounds like that flute and string stuff. And that's good. It's just that I'm still like there's something missing. So in your case, I was thinking, okay, you could have some kind of synth in the background or maybe just some strings, like something all the way through. But just very minimal. Okay, just minimal in the background. But then as I kept listening to it, I was thinking actually what you could use is actually a bass line. Some nice bass line, because that's really the only instrument you're missing, really. And if you did that, it would really fill out the track because it's nice. It's a bouncy track. It reminds me of something like a DJ Premier type beat. And I think if you just added some bass, just add a nice bass line to this, it'll make all the difference. And if you don't do that, I mean you should, but let's say you don't want to, then just have some kind of very subtle sound in the background. And excuse me. A lot of times I like to do that with a beat when I have some sounds that don't fill out a whole bar. Let's say, okay, I got some gaps in there or whatever. Then I'll add something in the background so that it's just there in the background. It's very, very subtle. People don't really notice it, but it's there. So just add something. It could be, some strings, like I said, but something. It could be like just a little string part, that you just loop over and over again. But since it's so low in the mix, nobody's going to really notice that. But it's going to be enough that it fills out those gaps, So. You could do that and a bass line too if you want, but either one is okay too. But I like it. It's a bouncy beat. That's some good shit. Good job. All right, so next up we got Grind Stars with Apache Bongo Beat Contest. Oh yeah, when we did the Beat This competition with the Apache bongo flip. All right, let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Grind Stars with the Apache Bongo beat contest. Yeah, so all right, so for this one, I didn't know what you were trying to do at the beginning, and well, towards the end too, is where you have, you just kind of like have the drums and these weird sounds just cutting in and out with these gaps of silence, so I don't know what you're doing with that, because it doesn't go with the rest of the beat. I was like, maybe you're just trying to build up to it, I don't know, but it didn't really sound like that to me, although you did incorporate that into the beat when it finally dropped in. So I don't know, I guess it's a build up or whatever. But the once you drop in the beat, it's good. I like what you did with it. It's just, I think the main thing is that I just didn't hear the drums. And for me, the Apache beat, if you're going to flip that, the beat is, the drums are going to be the focal point of my flip, So in your case, I didn't really hear the drums really. They're there, but they're just drowned out by the rest of the music that's there. And the music's good. I like it. I like what you did with it. But like I said, I just would have brought those drums into the mix more and make it more prominent. It doesn't necessarily have to be the focal point. That's what I would do, but you don't have to do that. But as long as it's loud enough that people are going to know, oh, that's the Apache beat. So but I did like what you did. You slowed everything down, and the whole music with the horns and everything like that, it's really good. But the main complaint though is that low end, man, that 808, man. That shit is heavy, man. You got to keep that in check, So you're gonna blow out some speakers with that. You got to be careful. So yeah, just check that in the mix because that was really loud. I was like, whoa, I got to turn this down. So all right, so yeah, keep that in check, and I would bring the drums up more in the mix. And like I said, the beginning and the end, I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to do. Although I figure you're just trying to build into the beat. But it just sounded weird. It just sounded kind of off because you had these gaps of silence and stuff. So, but the middle part, where you get the music and stuff, that's some good stuff. Just bring in the drums a little more. All right, so next up we got Lionel Suave with Clip Wings. Let's check it out. All right, all right. Okay, so that was Lionel Suave with Clip Wings. All right, so with this one, I think the main thing is that you just need to tighten up the mix, because first of all, the synth work you got going on is great. I mean, I love it. I love the synth. It sounds so good. You got a lot of stuff going on in it, and it's just a nice piece of music. I really like that. When you have the vocal parts, okay, I think when that comes in is that, I mean, they sound great, by the way, but when you have the vocal parts coming in, I think it makes the bass, well, I shouldn't say make it loud, but it just makes it more obvious that the bass is a lot louder than it should be. So I think when you tighten up the mix, you should definitely keep control of that bass, because even though it sounds good, it's just so loud in the mix, I think, and I understand with trap beats, it's got to be loud and stuff, but there's got to be a limit too. So in your case, I would just bring it down just somewhat. And like I said, I don't know, just because when the singing comes in, I just hear it more. It's like when it's out, it's like, okay, the bass is good, it's heavy, but it's not too loud. When the singing comes in, it's like it's drowning out the singing. The bass is drowning out the singing. So that's why I would just check the bass a bit. Okay, just make sure you keep a handle on that. But yeah, like I said, the synth is great, vocals are great. I think the whole thing just needs to be tightened up in the mix, And the other thing was the snare. That type of snare, I don't like those snares, man. I don't know. I mean, some people will use them, like in your case, but I don't know. I just think that a different snare would make a world of difference in your case, I mean, the same drum pattern and everything, drums are great, but I would say just change up the snare, have something a little tighter, not so flat, it's that flat sounding snare or whatever. So yeah, just like a tighter snare would make a big difference. And I think it's funny because this beat, the way it's mixed is that it's just slightly off, that it needs to be tightened up just a bit. I don't know, it's just kind of like a perfect example of the type of mixing that goes on today, is that because a lot of times everybody today is recording very hot, everything's in the red. So when you have that, you have all these tracks that are all in the red, so you're trying to get control of everything. It's very hard to do. So that's why I wrote an article a long time ago about how to mix in a proper way that you just get everything nice and even, and it doesn't have to be a super complicated process here. It's just some basic mixing here. I'm not an expert in mixing, but it's just I think that I do a pretty good job when I do it. So yeah, so just check out the article. It's on the site somewhere, and just find it somewhere. But I think everybody should check that out, because I think this is a perfect example of that. Is that there's just too much redness, too much of the meters in the red. So yeah, but other than that, like I said, I really like the beat. It's just unfortunate with the mix. It just needs to be tightened up just a bit. All right, so next up we got Young Sunflower with Supercars and Horses. Let's check it out. All right, all right. Okay, so that was Young Sunflower with Supercars and Horses. All right, so for this one, what I hear when I listen to this is that it's like a great start to a beat. Okay, because you know your drum pattern's good, the drum sounds are good. Snare could be a little like a little tighter, like it smack a little more. You know, it's more like a hand clap snare you have, but it's good. You know, it's not bad. And you know, even that little tingy sound you have coming in, that works. You know, the little keys you have and all that, it works. I would say keep everything and just add a few things. Add a bass line. That'd be the first thing I'd add. And that way it'll really carry the beat. Because right now it just sounds like an intro to a beat, you know, like just the starting of what you're of a beat that you're creating and stuff. So add a bass line and add a synth track. Doesn't have to be anything complicated, but just add a synth track. I know you already have some keys. You can add, instead of synth, you could just add some keys, whatever. But let's say you have another synth track on top, okay, and then you just have or another key track on top, like I said, and then you just play that, but something that's more of a lead than what you have. Because right now what you have, the keys that are there are just very subtle. They're chilling in the background, and that's okay, but you need something as a lead. Because right now the beat, like I said, it just sounds like the beginning of a beat, and it just has like no life to it. So that's why first add the bass line, and maybe just that'll do the trick. I don't know, but add a bass line and that'll give it some life, and then you can start adding just a little something on top, or maybe just some piano. Just add a piano track on top, something very simple, and just take it from there, because everything you have is good. Like I said, it's just missing a couple of little things. There's a couple of ingredients, and that'll give it some life, because that's the main thing that's happening, is that you just don't have any life to the beat. So I like it. I like the kick. I like what you do with the kick there, and it sounds like you're kind of doing like a bass sound with that kick, and that's okay. But you would it'd be a lot better if you had an actual bass line to go with this beat. So try that, and I'm sure it'll make a world of difference. So yeah. Well, that was the last beat. Okay, so that's it for me. I'm Mr. Fate. This is Attack of the Beats. Keep sending the beats in. I'll keep reviewing them. And my favorite beat is, drum roll please, Andy with Savage. Let's check it out.